Hey, Dan, I also want to ask you about Tesla because that stock also off just around 2% today. Bears are pointing to the miss that they reported on earnings, the fact that they reported lower margins. Why doesn't this worry you at all?
It's a golden age for EVs. And I know we've talked about it before, but it's 3% penetration in terms of EVs globally, going to 10% next 3 to 4 years. China firing on all cylinders. And I think you're seeing not just for Tesla, but the likes of NIO, Xpeng, and others. And then when you look at a Biden administration coming in, I think a doubling down on tax credit restoration to Tesla and GM. This is really just the start of what I believe could be 1 million vehicles plus delivered for Tesla in 2022. They're going to be conservative out of the gate for deliveries, but I think it's a sandbag special in terms of guidance.
What about this effort by the federal government to switch over to the fleet, all new purchases being electric vehicles? I mean, are we going to see, remember how it was K cars in the 1980s? Are we going to see Nissan Leafs? Because I can't imagine government folk driving Teslas.
Well, and I think when you look at this government initiative, it's really the broader green initiative that we're seeing. Of course, GM just dove into the deep end of the pool going full EVs by 2035. And I think what you're really going to see is a massive shift within the U.S., not just on the government side, but within consumer demand. But a lot of it's driven from a Biden and a blue Senate, green across the board, and that disproportionately benefits the likes of Tesla, GM. But it's also why you have that company in Cupertino, Apple. They're not going to look at EVs from the outside looking in. I believe in the next 6 to 9 months, they announce an EV partnership with the likes of Tesla, VW, Hyundai, or potentially one of the big three.
Hey, Dan, when we got the info out from Biden saying that he wants to move the fleet to EVs, this whole initiative that he launched, he didn't give a timeline. Does that matter?
Well, I think they don't want to put themselves sort of back against the wall in terms of a time frame. We've talked about 2030 in terms of supercharger network potentially building out 500K. But I think they still need to double click and figure out to make sure that they do a time horizon that they don't miss. There'll be a lot of speculation on that. And I think over the next, call it 3 to 6 months, it's going to be a more concrete plan. But I think it's going to be multifaceted. The restoration of tax credits of Tesla and GM, that's significant, especially for Tesla in terms of U.S. demand. More tax incentives in terms of factory build-outs and then the supercharger build-outs. And I believe a year from now, we're sitting here, we have more foreign EV manufacturers coming into this country. And I think that's going to be a big part of job growth in terms of the EV environment.
Dan, before I let you go, I got to ask you and hold you to something you said earlier in the discussion. Are you a Kansas City fan?
Look, I mean, ultimately, I like Kansas City, but Mahomes, in my opinion, it's hard to bet against him, just like it's hard to bet against Tesla and Apple. And, I think KC by a touchdown.
Ooh.
All right. Dan Ives, we got to get you back on the 8th. But first, I'm going to say thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you here, buddy. All the best to you. Take care. Dan Ives is with Wedbush Securities.